This whole self-care idea, it looks so different now. I mean, self-care may have been a summer concert or getting together. We can't forget about the importance of that through this and really impressing upon, you said PTO, or, just taking time to be somewhere. I have recently realized just being outside in nature has helped me realize, like, if I'm driving the four-wheeler down the road, things are actually okay. That's a safe place to be, unless I'm riding on the back when my teenager's driving. But I just think that we have to encourage that as a leadership team here in Valley and with our families and whoever. People are getting tired. I think COVID fatigue is super real.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and it may be that you have to completely change what your self-care looks like. It may be that, like you were saying, maybe it's a summer concert, maybe it's going out to eat on payday or something. And if those things go away, you may have to reinvent those routines and figure out what it is that helps you get through the day or the weekend or the month. Because like Gary said, this isn't going to be over anytime soon. If you're reading the news at all, September is going to looking really bad economically and health-wise. Those look like we're going to have a bad mesh of things coming on in the fall.
A huge aspect of monitoring whether or not I'm doing well is, am I sleeping? Am I getting, 7 to 12 to 14? No, just kidding.
I was like, this can't be real.
Like, there are times when we were in the middle of just nearly bankruptcy early on.
Closing the doors.
Yeah, every day, every 15 minutes, I was getting cash reports to make sure we could meet payroll. I didn't sleep well. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. I'd be up for the rest of the night. And I knew that I wasn't healthy. So I'm really focusing on picking that bedtime, sticking within 30 minutes of it, not working straight up until it's time to go to bed. Some of those things are just gradually erode your own sort of mental resilience. And we can't just be not mentally ill. We have to be mentally fit. It's not enough to just say, well, I don't have diabetes and I have hypertension, but I take meds for it. I'm trying to get past that personally, because I did that for years, to just medicate my way out of things. And now I'm trying to say, okay, let's just take this seriously. Especially when I started hearing about all the people that are really, really suffering with COVID, typically have underlying conditions are serious. And diabetes, hypertension, obesity, all of those things are the things that we can begin to address personally to be better equipped in our battle with this virus. It's just to be healthier. And that sleep part, man, that's your big indicator, because if you're sleeping poorly, you need to make some adjustments either in your diet or your exercise plan or your meditation plan or something. But it's the big symptom. Don't ignore it.
I bought a weighted blanket. It was the best thing I've ever purchased. Has anyone ever used one of those?
No.
Yeah, it's great. It's changed my life.
I know we use them for children with autism, right?
Right. But they actually are kind of a big seller now. And I started doing some research because my sleep is the first thing to kind of go when I get stressed. A weighted blanket was a good solution. And it's made all the difference in my sleeping. It just kind of like, wow. I don't know. I sleep all night. I go to sleep. I don't even know what happened. It's like anesthesia. And Amazon. Where do we get everything?
It's like
pretty cool.
It's like a gentle hug from your blanket while you're sleeping. It's nice. Yeah. We've kind of gotten to the point now where I'm trying to limit electronics at night, because if I read something alarming on the news, and let's face it, it's all alarming, then I don't sleep that night. So and sleep's one of those 4 pillars, right? It's one of those essential pillars to being healthy. Without that sleep, everything else kind of falls apart. So,
well, right. And reading helps you fall asleep unless you're on a screen.
Right.
But they have that little button now in your screen that you can push for night mode or whatever. So it takes the blue light out. I did some research.
Is there something that will delete out the disturbing content that I'm reading?
Oh, well, if you're reading a book, Gary, not the news, don't read the news. Just read a book.
I just come here and do what I'm told. So I'm at home, so that's my mode. Right. When I'm at home, I do whatever I'm told. So it's very confusing for me to be a CEO and at home. Because I always say I live 15 minutes from the office, and I don't know how from beginning to end I go from here to the office and I become a brilliant person. And when I get in my truck and I come home, suddenly my IQ drops by at least half. So it's a struggle.
Well, I share my office with the washer and dryer, so I have to make sure nobody's doing laundry when it's time to work. So
you're in charge of your family, so you whatever you say goes, right?
Are you talking to me? No, my 5-year-old runs our family.
Yeah.
He is 1,000% in charge.
And what's your
Of all of us.
5-year-old's name?
Bridger.
And what does Bridger think about masks? Have you made them fun?
Yeah, he wears them.
It's like
In fact,
superhero and Marvel.
We stopped at a family member's house. He is so my child in the truest DNA. He gets out of the car and she starts to approach. His aunt starts to approach, and we haven't hugged or anything. He goes, "Get back. I don't have my mask. I don't have my mask. No hugs. No hugs." He'll mask. He'll do whatever I tell him to do
Good.
until he doesn't. I mean,
Well, he's 5.
Yeah.
So.
he's almost 5. He thinks he's 25
Yeah.
and a ninja. I've said that.
But I want to know what I know at 52.
I know. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
I was thinking about that the other day. I had my first set of kids when I was 23. And I was like, I have so many. And I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be so cool to know what I know now as a parent and go backwards to that time? Because it was rough.
Yeah. Well, my oldest claims that she's the one that had to really just, trailblaze the whole thing for Elizabeth. And she certainly wore us down. I mean, Elizabeth has a much easier life than we had when we had all that energy and we were restricted.
Always tougher on the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My 15-year-old told me over the weekend that she never acted the way that my 4-year-old Bridger acts, and she doesn't know why I would ever allow that. She would never behave that way, and she was going to do things much differently when she was a parent. And I thought, good luck. I just looked at her and said, good luck. I mean, good luck.
Good luck.
It is interesting, this parenting thing through this whole pandemic. I was thinking that this morning. We were on a very big WebEx call, and at least 3 or 4 of the people on the call had children come in, and Gary, I remember at the beginning of this, you said, this is so humanizing, but a shout out to the parents who are managing through this with their kids, and like they're coming in, they're trying to manage work. And I just think it's an important
any disabilities in your family.
Yes. And we have a lot of staff who are managing disabilities in their families and other complexities. It's really inspiring, truly.
I just can't wait to sit down with my grandkids when they're old enough to talk and go, so what kind of parent is like this?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought she could maybe step it up a little bit, don't you? Maybe you should tell her what she's doing wrong all the time. So
every day at
that's
dinner.
gonna be my revenge is sending them home with talking points.
That will be good.
Here, use this if you run out of ideas.
Yeah, and it would be easy to not feel bad about it if you knew. But when they say it, you're like, maybe I missed something. Even though logically I know that we do the best we can, right? But every time they say it, it's like, it's just a little knife to the heart, just a tiny.
I put a roof over your head, and then it's over.
Yeah.
My youngest very sincerely told me that when they were 10 years old, I told them that only stupid people yawn. And that was like a scarring lifelong event for them. And still to this day, Dad, you told me that only stupid people yawn. I'm like, I don't remember that. And you just think that one tiny little comment has affected everything. Like they hide yawning from me.
And why don't they pick something where you actually sounded brilliant and insightful?
From me, that's not going to happen.
There's 1 or 2 times, over the course of a couple of years. Surely they could have picked a better one than that.
Yeah, no, that's the one that stuck. So, I mean, brilliant parenting. My Parent of the Decade award is going to be amazing.
Well, I'm going to be self-conscious about that now around you.
Me too.
Our big success right now is listening.
Mm-hmm.
I would assert that Peakon and the fact that we're showing changes when Peakon scores adjust and feedback is trending in a certain direction, we make adjustments. And our workforce is pretty reasonable. I mean, they're not demanding things that we're like, okay, great, yeah, we'll pay you in gold bullion from now on in a wheelbarrow. But
it's Bitcoin now. It's all Bitcoin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's easier to transport than gold bullion.
Was that a nerd thing, Lee, that you just said? Because
cryptocurrency.
I don't. Seems weird.
Yeah,
Or I'm weird.
I think as long as we continue to listen and address the issues that we can, I think that's the recipe. I think that's why we're successful right now, and how we'll continue to be successful getting those services in the community consistently and keeping people healthy. I mean, I remember when we rolled out Valley Fit, there was a little bit of a conspiracy theory, sort of, we're trying to move, know what your medical conditions are and stuff like that. And no, none of that was true. We were actually just trying to improve your access to healthcare,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't know that you went through that, because Valley Fit's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's a great perk, right?
That we would only hire incompetent people. I mean, we went through a lot, and then later on, as a leader, you just kind of have to put your head down and endure those types of statements, because they hurt. I mean, why in the world would we sit around and try to let's craft something and just make people miserable?
That takes a lot of energy.
I don't have that much time or creativity. But then later on, you'll hear somebody say, "Hey," but it's not on the general channel; it's one-to-one, and they'll say, "You saved my husband's life."
Yeah.
Concept, and you go, "Oh, wow, okay, so it's all worth it,"
Yeah.
In that instance, you just go, "All right, I feel good. I'm validated. It's good enough."
Sometimes that feedback can be brutal, though. Another company I worked for had an equivalency to Peakon, and you're plugging along thinking you're doing great as a manager, and then you get your results back from your staff, and you don't really bounce back from those sometimes.
What I love is that I'm about to go to sleep, within my 30-minute window, and I get a Peakon alert that says I've got some, what does it say?
A sensitive comment.
Yes, sensitive. And it'll give you the buzzwords just to scare you enough so that you'll read it, like hatred or fraud. You're like, and then you open it and you're like terrified. You have to do sit-ups and meditate before you read it. And it's like, administration always fights against fraud. And you're like,
good job.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have gotten so worked up.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about clearing up frustration or miscommunication or not necessarily knowing about something, I had one involving Peakon that my wife was able to clear up for me, because she's much smarter than me in management. A lot of times I was getting these comments. I write out these heartfelt answers to the Peakon questions, and I would get, "Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing." And after like the 15th time, I was getting a little frustrated. And then she cleared me up on that there's only 4 answers that can be given. And so it wasn't that the person reading it was just copying and pasting. They don't have any other option. So it's one of those things where I could have saved myself some frustration 2 Peakons ago by just asking a simple question.
That's such a good point to bring up, because we have options like when you respond on a Facebook where you can do an emoji, and there's like 4 options. It's kind of like that same thing. We can do "thanks for sharing," or "I'd like to talk in person," or "great idea." And there's one other one, "working on it," or something like that. Yeah. And that's
"pack your desk" is the 4th one.
No. Lee?
Okay, that I've never seen it, but
no.
Option on Peakon, I like that.
No.
Pack your stuff.
No, you guys. Even when people say mean things on Peakon, you just breathe through it. You meditate and do sit-ups.
Well, Gary, Becky, thanks so much for joining us on this VINI podcast.
Lee.
Thanks.